Hello everyone, how you all doing? Welcome to another vlog. Things that I did today. I did not manage to finish the creative writing texts that I wanted to finish during the weekend. Still pending. I got some minor revisions from Christina, who managed to have some time to read it, and I incorporated that, but it still feels like I need to do a proper proofread of the whole thing and narrow it down. Um, Google was down for a bit part of the day, which was an interesting reminder that we shouldn't be that much reliant on cloud technology. So YouTube was down, the email was not working. Finally, when Google came back up, then Thunderbird wasn't being able to connect to Google. Had to Google stuff up on how to fix Thunderbird not connecting to Google. Turns out I had cookies disabled, and when you're trying to set the account, when you first set the account, it kind of got set up, and I probably turned off cookies afterwards, I guess. So now I was trying to redo the authentication and not quite managing to do because it wouldn't keep tracking of the session somehow. So it took me a while to figure that out, but I managed to do it. Didn't think it was worthy enough to do a video about, but I don't know, maybe. Let me know in the comments below if you think this is relevant or not. Not that many people use Thunderbird or have these kind of issues with Google. I'm assuming it's not a default setting that the cookies are off. I think by default they are on. So it's more my issue that I try to figure out stuff with cookies. Anyways, other stuff that I did today. I sent a lot of emails to Enough Records artists about the Free Music Archive. Free Music Archive is one of the platforms online that you could use to upload Creative Commons tracks and public domain tracks and share them with people. And it had this connection with WFMU, so it got a lot of traffic, especially of people looking for tracks that they could use for their nonprofit projects. So we got a lot of downloads and views on a lot of catalog tracks from Enough Records through Free Music Archive. But about 1 year and a half ago, they were in financial difficulties and they wanted to shut it down. They managed to find someone who would buy the project. They bought it. They promised to relaunch it. Then they sold it to another company. And the current owner, I think it's called Tribe of Noise, if I'm not mistaken. They also been trying to reboot it somehow, and finally the uploads are supposedly back up again, but they no longer accept curators and labels to upload artists' releases. So I was controlling 400 plus releases of Enough Records stuff there. Suddenly I can't control any of it, which I guess it's fine. They're entitled to do that. They told me that I need to contact artists so that they claim their artist page on FMA, and then they can go to this thing that allows the label, who was the original uploader of the material there to begin with, to change stuff or add new stuff. I don't actually want to change anything on the previous stuff. Just on, well, some of it might be wrong, but that was not my main aim. My main aim is actually uploading the releases that are missing there for the last year. So yeah, I just been mailing all of the FMA, FMA affected artists, which are the ones that got releases on the last year. To go to FMA, claim their page, and give me access if they want me to upload it. If they want to upload the album themselves, great, go for it. Less work for me, but I'm pretty sure they will rather just have me do that work. Since I was in Enough Records mood, I started listening to some pending demos that I also received recently, trying to clear those from the to-do list. Managed to hear like 3 or 4 different demos. Some of them just got transformed from the near future to-do list to the later future to-do list, so I have to find some cover artworks and I need to do some remastering. So yeah, let's talk about that for a little bit. First, the importance of cover artworks for releases. A lot of music artists just slap something together because they need a cover. They don't know how to do covers. They're not graphic designers, but they need an image of some sort, so they just grab a random image that somehow fits and slap it there, and that becomes what they associate in their mind to the release. Most of the times, it's not a good image. Like, it doesn't reflect what's inside the album. It's just an image that they have there. So it can show poor Photoshop skills. It just looks unprofessional overall. So it's not very appealing for people to go and download if it doesn't look up to standard. I used to care a lot less about these kind of things 20 years ago. Uh, but I slowly became convinced that indeed cover artwork is essential for people discovering music, and there's a tight relationship between the cover artwork and the music itself. The cover needs to reflect what's inside the album. Like, you can't be looking at a cover and not have any association with the music inside it whatsoever. It needs to do something, either if it's appealing to some common ground aesthetics, like for example, if you do psytrance, you go check other psytrance albums, and then there are some repeating themes on it that you might associate with psytrance itself. If you put, like, I don't know, a photograph of a decayed machine, that's not very associated with psytrance at all. That's more like industrial kind of stuff. So yeah, I need to be careful with those things, and try to figure out what kind of vibe you want to transmit with the album. Listen to it a few times, and then try to find a good image or illustration. Maybe you can even commission some illustrator that has the specific style that you think might be appropriate to fit the coverage. You need to find proper artwork for it. That's an essential part of running a label, is making sure that you have proper artwork. And if you're not a designer, that can be hard. My way out of that is either trying to contact other artists or photographers, and nowadays I mostly resort to Pexels. Pexels.com is a place where you can go, and it has a lot of images, photographs that are free for you to use. They are copyright free. They're public domain. So it's a great resource. You go there, search for a few things, and you might find something that is interesting or evocative of what you have in mind. I also try a few tricks on it to Photoshop it a bit or put some filters on it, some stuff like that. But mostly the base is Pexels. So yeah, that's my go-to these days. I used to contact other people a lot more to try to do artwork, but then you have to wait for the other people to actually have time to do stuff, and if they do something that is not in line with what you were thinking, then you are in a very bad spot. And I had this problem before a lot of times. You ask someone to do artwork, they are wasting their time, investing their time trying to do something that they think is aligned with what you want, what you expect, and it just doesn't fit, either because they didn't care about the music, or they're just throwing stuff together, or maybe just your visions don't align, and it's hard to say no, this cover artwork does not fit the vision that I have for the music, either because the artist doesn't agree or the label owner don't agree, and the designer has wasted time. And if it's something for a non-profit label like a net label is, it's a bit rough for someone who has invested their free time to do something and then only get negative feedback in return. So you have to decide, why you want to publish this artwork anyways, just not to piss off the designer, even though you don't really agree with it that much. And I did do that a few times, and I kind of regret it. But you can always try to get another cover artwork later on if you see something that fits a bit better. So I'm a bit happy of trying to arrange the cover myself instead of relying on other people because of that. Also, you have the waiting. Or usually when you order something from someone, you have to wait a month or something like that for them to return, and if you have a deadline, it's hard. And then you have to do the bridge between the artist and the cover artist, and somehow they never managed to be able to speak with each other directly, even though you put them CC'd on the emails. Anyways, I digress. Audio mastering. So one of the artists was sending me some stuff. We already released a few things from him, and they always felt that they were unmastered. So I told them, okay, I have released a few things from you before in the past. I like the music in general, but the mastering is usually crap. You need to learn how to do mastering properly. And I'm not a pro in mastering. I know the fundamentals, which I can name out for you real quick. Number one, get proper equipment. Without proper equipment, it's impossible to do a proper mastering. Number two, trust your ears more than you trust the little thingies moving on the screen. Test your sound on both good and bad equipment to make sure that the element that you want to come across at a certain point in the song is really coming across on both the good system and the crap system. Same thing as for doing it on good and crap equipment. Also check for when you're listening to it in a very high volume, you're completely immersed in it, on varying degrees of lower volume. When you are barely listening to it, the main element that you want to come across on your song at a specific point still has to come across. If you're not doing that properly, it might be an aesthetic choice that you only hear the drums throughout the whole track. It's up to you, but I would rather you would hear the proper element that you're supposed to be listening to at that particular point. So, audio production, I'm not a pro at it. I know these basics. I have a few VSTs. I try some things. I know the basics of equalizing, stereo separation, that kind of stuff. So I try to apply them as best I can. It always sounds like it could be better. It never sounds like perfect, but, I try my best. But I'm not a pro at mastering. But some artists, they're like negative. Whenever they actually try to do mastering, it's even worse than it was original. So in those cases, you need to explain the fundamentals of mastering. And this was not that particular case. I think in this case it's just having bad equipment, and he can tell the difference, but he doesn't really know how to make the whole track, stand up a bit more. Because it's really hard with bad equipment to notice the differences, the nuances in what you're trying to master. And then it takes some experience, of course, to do a few things, read a lot of articles. There are a lot of good tutorials and written articles on how you can improve the mastering. It also depends on the genre that you are mastering. Mastering some ambient stuff is a lot different from mastering rock or whatever kind of music genre you can think of. So yeah, need to be careful of all those things. So yeah, that was what I was doing later tonight. After the stuff, afternoon was pretty much mailing enough records people about stuff, about FMA in particular, and the night was pretty much listening to demos and listening to the cat meowing in distress, and trying out some mastering to show the artist the difference between the things. And yeah, now I have 2 tasks on my to-do list for January, which is to find some cover artworks and to remaster this artist's album in a way that we both agree it's sounding much better than it previously was. So yeah, I got like 3 items on my to-do list removed and 2 of them added, but later down, which is a lot better. So yeah, hopefully tomorrow I'll be able to go back to creative writing. We'll see. Anyways, thanks for watching the video. See you next time. Bye bye, everyone. Take care.